The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark void between stars. Its crystal towers reached out like giant fingers, each one glowing with soft blue light. Inside the central chamber, 12 different alien races sat around a circular table made of pure energy. Ambassador Kethvar of the Vextai stood up. His crystal body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. When he spoke, his voice sounded like breaking glass mixed with wind chimes. "Fellow council members," he began, "we face a serious problem. The humans have spread to 17 star systems in just 200 years. No young race has ever expanded so fast or so far." The other aliens shifted in their seats. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Others looked like walking trees or floating balls of light. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They were used to being in control. Commander Zix of the Zephyrians buzzed his agreement. His insect-like body clicked as he moved. "The humans build weapons everywhere they go. Our scouts report massive military bases on every world they colonize." The Luminarch representative, a being of pure energy contained in a metal suit, spoke next. Its voice was like distant thunder. "They refuse our offers of protection. They ignore our warnings. They act as if they belong here." Elder Thros, whose tree-like body creaked when he moved, nodded his massive head. "In my 3,000 years of life, I've seen many young races. They all learn to respect their elders. They all accept guidance. But these he paused, his bark-like skin rustling. "These humans think they are equals." Kethvar activated a hologram in the center of the table. It showed human ships moving between star systems. The ships looked crude compared to alien technology, but there were so many of them. "Look at this data," Kethvar said. "They launch new colonies every month. They build factories and military bases at the same time. They arm their civilian ships with weapons. This is not normal behavior for a peaceful species." The insect-like Zix clicked his mandibles. "Our ancestors built this galaxy's peace over 10,000 years. We eliminated war. We stopped chaos. We brought order to 1,000,000 worlds. Now these humans threaten everything we have built." A new voice spoke from the shadows. It belonged to the Void Walkers, beings so ancient that few remembered their true forms. "The humans must be stopped before they corrupt other young races. Their violent nature is like a disease. It will spread." The energy being called Archconductor Voltus sparked with electricity. "We have been patient. We offered them membership in our hegemony. We promised them protection and guidance. They rejected us. They chose war over peace." Elder Thros's branches rustled with anger. "They dare to call us conquerors. They spread lies about our benevolent rule. Some young races have begun asking questions because of human propaganda." Kethvar moved to another display. This one showed human military positions. The numbers were impressive even by galactic standards. "Intelligence reports show they have been preparing for war since their first day in space," he said. "They hide weapons in civilian stations. They train their children for combat. They see enemies everywhere, even where none exist." The hive queen of the swarm species spoke through her translator device. Her real body was far away, but her voice carried the weight of billions of minds. "The humans will not listen to reason. They understand only strength. We must show them their place in the galactic order." Commander Zix stood up, his wings buzzing. "I propose we issue an ultimatum. Give them one last chance to surrender peacefully." "What terms should we offer?" asked the Luminarch. Kethvar smiled, though his crystal face made it look cold and sharp. "Simple terms. They will immediately stop all expansion. They will dismantle their military fleets. They will accept our protective oversight. They will relocate their populations to worlds we choose for them." "And if they refuse?" Elder Thros asked. "Then we will remove them ourselves," Voltus said, electricity dancing around his form. "We have done this before with other stubborn races. Sometimes the young must be disciplined for their own good." The Void Walker's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "We have 12 full battle fleets ready to move. Each one could destroy a star system. Together they could erase human civilization in days." Kethvar nodded. "The humans are brave, but they are not stupid. When they see our combined might, they will surrender. They will thank us for our mercy." The Hive Queen's translator buzzed with her laughter. "Young races always think they are special. They all believe they can challenge the galactic order. They all learn they are wrong." "How long should we give them to respond?" asked Commander Zix. 72 hours, Kethvar said. "Enough time for their leaders to understand the situation. Not enough time for them to prepare any foolish resistance." Elder Thros creaked as he leaned forward. "And if they try to negotiate? If they ask for more time or different terms?" Voltus sparked with amusement. There will be no negotiation. These are our final terms. They accept completely or they face the consequences. The council voted. 12 races representing thousands of worlds and billions of beings all agreed. The human problem would end one way or another. Kethvar prepared the message himself. It was written in the formal language of galactic law. Every word was chosen carefully to show the council's power and authority. To the human governments, the message began. You have violated galactic peace through aggressive expansion and military buildup. You have rejected our generous offers of protection and guidance. You have spread dangerous ideas about independence and self-rule. The message continued with the ultimatum. Stop expanding. Dismantle all weapons, except alien oversight. Relocate as ordered. 72 hours to comply. Your species is young and inexperienced, the message concluded. You do not understand the dangers of the galaxy. We offer you one final chance to accept our wisdom and protection. Refuse, and you will face the consequences of your arrogance. The message was sent across faster-than-light communication networks. It reached every human world at the same time. The council members sat back and waited. They will probably try to contact us within hours, Kethvar predicted. They will beg for more time. They will promise to comply if we show mercy. Commander Zix cleaned his compound eyes with a foreleg. All young races do the same thing. First they act tough. Then they realize they cannot win. Then they surrender and accept our rule. The Luminarch being pulsed with satisfaction. Soon the galaxy will be peaceful again. The human threat will be ended. Order will be restored. Elder Thross stretched his massive branches. I almost feel sorry for them. They showed promise as a species, but they chose conflict over cooperation. They brought this fate upon themselves. The Voidwalker spoke one last time before fading back into the shadows. Let this be a lesson to any other young race that thinks it can challenge the galactic order. Peace comes through strength. Order comes through obedience. The hegemony rules for the good of all. The council chamber fell quiet. Outside, the 12 most powerful fleets in galactic history waited for orders. Trillions of beings across the galaxy continued their daily lives, unaware that the fate of an entire species hung in the balance. The clock started ticking. 72 hours for humanity to surrender everything they had built. 72 hours to accept alien rule or face total destruction. The council was confident. No young race had ever defied them successfully. The humans would see reason. They would submit like all the others. After all, what choice did they have? The emergency session bell rang through the halls of the United Terran Federation building in Geneva. President Elena Vasquez walked quickly toward the main conference room, her security team struggling to keep up. The message from the Galactic Hegemony Council had arrived 3 hours ago. Every human leader in the solar system was now gathering to decide humanity's fate. Admiral Sarah Chen was already in the room when the president arrived. Her gray uniform was crisp and clean, but her eyes showed she had not slept in days. Fleet Commander Marcus Rodriguez sat across from her, studying data on his tablet. His fingers drummed nervously on the table. "Show me what we're dealing with," President Vasquez said as she took her seat. Admiral Chen activated the main display. Star charts filled the wall, showing the positions of alien fleets at the edge of human space. Red dots marked enemy ships. There were thousands of them. 12 different alien battle fleets, Chen reported, each one bigger than our entire space navy. They're positioned at every major jump point leading to our territory. Commander Rodriguez looked up from his tablet. Intelligence estimates they have enough firepower to destroy every human world 10 times over. Their technology is at least 50 years ahead of ours in most areas. President Vasquez studied the display. The red dots seemed to surround human space like a noose. What about their ultimatum? Do they really expect us to dismantle our fleets and accept their rule? That's exactly what they expect, said Dr. James Park, the Federation's chief scientist. He was a small man with thick glasses who rarely spoke in military meetings. I've been studying their history. Every time a young race expanded too fast, the council made the same demands. Every time the young race surrendered. And what happened to those species? The president asked. Dr. Park's face grew dark. They became servant races. The aliens call it protection and guidance. But the species that surrendered lost their independence forever. They work in alien mines and factories now. Their worlds belong to the council. Admiral Chen clenched her fists. They want to turn us into slaves. They want to turn us into livestock, Commander Rodriguez corrected. Useful animals that do what they're told. President Vasquez was quiet for a long moment. Outside the windows, she could see normal people walking on the streets of Geneva. Children played in parks. Families ate dinner together. None of them knew that alien fleets waited to destroy everything humans had built. "What are our options?" she finally asked. Admiral Chen stood up and pointed at different sections of the star chart. "Military analysis gives us 3 choices. 1. We surrender completely and hope they keep their word about being merciful. 2. We try to negotiate and offer partial compliance. 3. We fight." "What are the chances of winning if we fight?" President Vasquez asked. The room fell silent. Commander Rodriguez cleared his throat. "In a straight battle, using current technology and known fleet positions, 0% chance of human victory. However," Admiral Chen said, "we may have some advantages they don't know about." She changed the display to show different information. This time the chart showed hidden human installations throughout the outer colonies. "For the past 50 years we've been building secret military facilities," Chen explained. "The aliens think they know where all our ships are. They're wrong." Dr. Park nodded eagerly. "We've also made breakthroughs in stealth technology and weapons systems. The aliens are studying our old ship designs. They don't know about our new ones." Commander Rodriguez added more data to the display. "We've been preparing for this day since our first contact with alien civilizations. Our public fleets are just for show. Our real military strength is hidden." President Vasquez felt a spark of hope. "How hidden?" "Very hidden," Admiral Chen said. "We have stealth ships built inside asteroids, weapons platforms disguised as mining stations, entire battle fleets that exist only on secret documents. The aliens think humans are primitive and emotional," Dr. Park explained. "They believe we build everything where they can see it. They think we're too simple for complex deception." Commander Rodriguez smiled for the first time all day. They're about to learn they were wrong. President Vasquez studied the new information. The hidden human forces were still smaller than the alien fleets, but they were larger than anyone outside the military had imagined. "Can we win?" she asked again. Admiral Chen looked her straight in the eyes. "Maybe if we're smart. If we're fast. If we use every advantage we have, and if we lose. If we lose while fighting, at least our children will know we tried," Commander Rodriguez said. "If we surrender, our children will never be free." The president thought about her own daughter who was studying engineering at university. She thought about every human child who deserved to grow up free. "What about the other young races in the galaxy?" she asked. "The ones who might help us?" Dr. Park shook his head. "Most of them are already under alien control. The few independent ones are too far away or too weak to matter." "So we're alone," President Vasquez said. "We've always been alone," Admiral Chen replied. "But we've never needed anyone else to protect our freedom." The president made her decision. "Send a message to all human colonies. Tell them to prepare for war. Activate every hidden fleet and secret base we have." "What should we tell the aliens?" Commander Rodriguez asked. President Vasquez thought for a moment. The aliens expected humans to beg for mercy. They expected long negotiations and desperate attempts at compromise. They expected fear. "Send them a simple message," she said. 2 words, "come try." Admiral Chen smiled. "That's it? Just come try? That's it. No explanations. No request for more time. No attempts at negotiation. Just those 2 words." Dr. Park looked worried. "Ma'am, that message might make them angry. They might attack immediately instead of giving us time to prepare." "Good," President Vasquez said. "Let them be angry. Angry enemies make mistakes." The message was sent within an hour. Across all communication channels in every alien language, humanity's response reached the Galactic Council. "Come try." At military bases throughout human space, secret orders began arriving. Hidden ships powered up their engines for the first time in years. Weapons that had never been tested outside of simulations came online. Soldiers who had trained their whole lives for this moment received their final briefings. Admiral Chen took command of the main human fleet. Commander Rodriguez began coordinating the hidden forces. Dr. Park started distributing new weapons and technology that the aliens had never seen. Before President Vasquez addressed the human population that evening, she didn't lie about the danger they faced. She didn't promise easy victory. She simply told the truth. "The aliens want us to surrender our freedom. she said to billions of humans watching across 17 star systems. They want us to accept their rule and abandon our independence. They believe we will submit because we are young and weak. She paused, looking directly into the camera. They are about to discover what it really means to be human. We don't surrender. We don't bow to tyrants. We don't accept slavery, no matter how powerful our enemies might be. The broadcast ended with a simple statement: humanity stands ready. In space, human ships began moving to their battle positions. The aliens had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. Humanity would use those 72 hours to prepare for war. The galaxy expected to hear humanity's surrender. Instead, they heard the sound of human warships powering up their weapons and preparing to fight for freedom. The countdown to war had begun. The first alien ships entered human space exactly 72 hours after the ultimatum expired. Commander Zix led the Zephyrian fleet toward Kepler Station, a mining outpost on the edge of human territory. His insect eyes studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. Primitive humans, he buzzed to his officers. Look how they position their ships. No proper formation, no tactical discipline. They will break and run at the first sight of real combat. The human defenders at Kepler Station watched the alien fleet approach. Captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the defense platform, counting enemy ships on her scanner. 200 alien vessels against her 12 human defenders. They expect us to surrender, her tactical officer said nervously. Maybe we should try to negotiate. Captain Santos shook her head. No negotiations. We have our orders. She opened a channel to all human ships in the system. This is Kepler Command. Execute Plan Blackout. The human ships suddenly went silent. Their engines stopped. Their lights went out. To alien sensors, it looked like the human fleet had simply given up. Commander Zix clicked his mandibles in amusement. See? I told you they would surrender without a fight. Humans talk tough, but they have no real courage. His fleet moved closer to Kepler Station, preparing to accept the human surrender. They expected white flags and begging messages. Instead, they got something completely unexpected. The asteroid field around Kepler Station exploded. For 50 years, human miners had been placing charges throughout the asteroid belt. Not to mine ore, but to create the galaxy's largest minefield. Thousands of space rocks suddenly became high-speed projectiles, flying toward the alien fleet at incredible speeds. Commander Zix watched in shock as his lead ships disappeared in explosions of rock and metal. Impossible! Those were just asteroids. How did they? His question was answered when the dead human ships suddenly came back to life. They had been hiding among the asteroids using the rocks as cover. Now they attacked from all directions at once. Captain Santos smiled as her weapon systems came online. Welcome to human space, she said, and opened fire. The battle was short but devastating. The alien fleet had expected easy victory against primitive enemies. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a carefully planned ambush. Human ships used the asteroid field like a three-dimensional maze, appearing and disappearing behind cover, while the alien vessels struggled to maintain formation. Of the 200 alien ships that entered the Kepler system, only 50 escaped. Commander Zix was not among the survivors. News of the victory spread quickly through human space. But the celebration was short-lived. Reports came in from other systems. The aliens were attacking everywhere at once. At New Babylon Colony, Elder Thros led his tree-like people against human defenders. His massive ships settled into orbit around the planet like floating forests. He expected the human colonists to surrender once they saw his overwhelming firepower. Surrender now, he broadcast to the planet. And we will be merciful. Continue to resist and we will turn your world into ash. The response came from General Patricia Vance, the colony's military commander. This is New Babylon Defense Command. We have a counteroffer. Leave now, or we'll show you what happens when you threaten human families. Elder Thros laughed, a sound like wind through dead branches. Foolish humans. You cannot resist the might of the galactic hegemony. His ships began bombing military installations on the planet's surface. The human defenders seemed helpless against the alien orbital assault. Several key bases were destroyed in the first hour of the attack, but General Vance had a plan that Elder Thros never expected. The humans didn't just defend their bases. They turned the entire planet into a weapon. New Babylon was a mining world, full of underground tunnels and industrial equipment. The colonists had spent decades preparing for exactly this kind of attack. Every building had hidden entrances to the tunnel system. Every factory could be converted into a weapons plant. Every civilian was trained in combat and sabotage. When Elder Thra sent landing forces to occupy the planet's surface, they found empty cities. The humans had disappeared underground, but they weren't hiding. They were hunting. Alien soldiers found themselves under constant attack from enemies they couldn't see. Bombs exploded under their feet. Snipers picked them off from hidden positions. Supply convoys vanished without a trace. Where are they? Elder Thras demanded as his ground forces took heavy casualties. Why can't we find their main army? His tactical officer, a young tree being named Branch Captain Sallow, studied the reports with growing concern. Sir, I don't think they have a main army. I think every human on this planet is a soldier. It was true. The colonists had turned guerrilla warfare into an art form. Farmers became snipers. Factory workers became bomb makers. Even children served as messengers and scouts, moving through tunnels too small for adult aliens to follow. Elder Thras found himself fighting an entire population instead of an army. Every human he killed was replaced by 2 more. Every position he captured was retaken within hours. The planet itself seemed to be fighting against him. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt of the Sol system, Admiral Chen was preparing her own surprise for the aliens. Her ghost fleet had been hiding in the outer system for weeks using stealth technology the aliens didn't know existed. The Luminarch battle group approached Earth with confidence. Arch-Conductor Voltus led his energy beings in a magnificent display of power. Their ships glowed like miniature stars as they moved through space. The human homeworld lies ahead, Voltus announced to his fleet. Once we destroy their capital, the remaining human colonies will surrender immediately. Earth's orbital defenses opened fire as soon as the aliens came within range. The battle looked hopeless for humanity. The alien energy weapons tore through human ships like paper. Earth's defense fleet was being destroyed piece by piece. But Admiral Chen was watching from her hidden position behind Jupiter. Her stealth ships were invisible to alien sensors, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. All ships, this is Ghost Leader, she broadcast on secure channels. The aliens are focused on Earth, they don't know we're here. Prepare for surprise attack. The Ghost Fleet emerged from hiding just as the alien forces reached Earth's moon. 30 human ships appeared out of nowhere, their weapons fully charged and ready for battle. Arch-Conductor Voltus spun his energy form in shock. Impossible! How did they hide an entire fleet? Our sensors showed nothing. His question was answered by human plasma torpedoes slamming into his flagship. The stealth ships attacked the alien rear guard, while Earth's surviving defenders hit them from the front. Caught between 2 forces, the Luminarch fleet began to fall apart. Retreat, Voltus ordered. Fall back to the outer system. But Admiral Chen wasn't finished. All ships pursue and destroy. Don't let them escape to report our capabilities. The Ghost Fleet hunted down the fleeing aliens like wolves chasing deer. Most of the Luminarch force was destroyed before they could reach the edge of the solar system. Across human space, the pattern was the same. The aliens had expected quick victories against primitive enemies. Instead, they found themselves fighting a species that refused to follow galactic rules of warfare. Humans didn't fight fair. They used tricks, traps, and tactics that no civilized species would consider. They turned asteroids into weapons. They made entire planets into fortresses. They hid fleets where no fleet should be able to hide. Most shocking of all, humans fought to win, not just to survive. Other species accepted defeat when the odds were against them. Humans just got more creative and more dangerous. The first phase of the war was over. The aliens had failed to destroy humanity in a quick campaign. Now they faced something they had never encountered before. A long war against an enemy that would never surrender. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency meetings began. The reports coming back from human space were impossible to believe. How could such a young race fight so effectively? How could they have hidden so much military strength? Most disturbing of all, some of the alien commanders were beginning to respect their human enemies. That had never happened before in 10,000 years of galactic history. The humans were teaching the galaxy a lesson about the price of freedom, and the lesson was written in burning alien ships. News of human victories spread through the galaxy faster than the Hegemony Council could control. On 1,000 worlds and 1,000,000 alien homes, beings watched their news feeds in stunned silence. The humans were not just surviving. They were winning. Ambassador Kethvar stood before the emergency council session, his crystal body dim with worry. The holographic displays around him showed the tactical situation in human space. Red zones marked areas where hegemony fleets had been destroyed or forced to retreat. "How is this possible?" demanded the Hive Queen through her translator. "Our intelligence reported that humans had small primitive fleets. Where did these ghost ships come from?" Commander Voss, the new Zephyrian representative since Zix's death at Kepler Station, buzzed nervously. "The humans have been deceiving us for decades. They showed us what they wanted us to see while hiding their real military strength." Elder Moss, who had replaced Elder Thross after his defeat at New Babylon, creaked with anger. "They made us look like fools. My people have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Now a species barely out of their home system has humiliated our finest commanders." The Voidwalker's voice echoed from the shadows. "Worse than that. Other races are watching. Some are beginning to ask questions about our authority." It was true. Across the galaxy, young races and even some older ones were paying attention to humanity's example. On the mining world of Kelros Prime, the native Kelrani had stopped working in the hegemony's ore processing plants. They demanded better treatment and representation in galactic government. On the agricultural world of Verdania, the plant-like Verdans refused to increase their food production quotas. They cited human principles of self-determination in their formal protests. Most disturbing of all, some species were secretly sending messages of support to humanity. The Galactic Council's intelligence network intercepted communications from dozens of worlds, all expressing admiration for human courage. "We must stop this infection before it spreads further," Archconductor Voltus said, electricity crackling around his energy form. "If other races follow the human example, our entire system of order will collapse." Ambassador Kethvar activated new tactical displays. "I propose Operation Prometheus. We strike at every human world simultaneously with overwhelming force. No more holding back. No more attempts at mercy. We crush them completely." The plan was ambitious. 12 massive fleets would attack 12 human systems at once. Each fleet would be 3 times larger than the forces that had failed in the first wave. The aliens would use their most advanced weapons and their best commanders. "What about casualties?" asked Elder Moss. "This level of attack will kill billions of humans." "Good," the Voidwalker replied. "Let their death serve as an example to other young races. This is what happens when you defy the galactic order." The vote was unanimous. Operation Prometheus would launch within 48 hours. But the humans had their own surprises prepared. Admiral Chen stood in the war room beneath Geneva, studying intelligence reports from across the galaxy. The news was both good and bad. Good because human forces had performed better than anyone expected. Bad because the aliens were preparing something massive. "They're moving everything they have," reported Commander Rodriguez. "Our spy networks show fleet movements from 12 different worlds. This isn't going to be like the first wave. They're coming with everything they've got." President Vasquez looked tired. She had not slept properly in days, managing the war effort while trying to keep civilian populations calm. "Can we stop them?" "Not with conventional tactics," Admiral Chen admitted. "But we don't fight conventionally." She activated a secure holographic display that showed the galaxy from a strategic perspective. "We've been thinking too small. Instead of defending our worlds and waiting for them to attack us, we're going to attack them first." Dr. Park entered the room carrying a sealed briefcase. His normally nervous expression had been replaced by determined excitement. "The new weapons are ready, faster than light torpedoes, quantum disruption mines, and something special for their home worlds." Commander Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "Special how?" "Liberation devices," Dr. Park said with a slight smile. "The hegemony has been ruling through fear and control for thousands of years. Time to show their subject races what freedom looks like." Admiral Chen explained the plan. While the alien fleets gathered for their massive assault on human space, human strike forces would hit hegemony worlds directly, not to conquer them, but to free the enslaved populations that kept the alien empire running. "The hegemony doesn't just rule through military might," Chen said. "They control hundreds of slave races who do all the real work. Mining, manufacturing, agriculture. It's all done by species the hegemony conquered long ago." President Vasquez understood immediately. If we free their slaves, their economy collapses. More than that, Dr. Park added. According to our intelligence, most of these slave races never wanted to be part of the hegemony. They were forced into it. Given a choice, many would join us instead. The operation began 48 hours later. As the hegemony fleets moved toward human space for their grand offensive, human ships emerged from hyperspace at a dozen alien worlds. The liberation of Xerion Prime was the first and most dramatic success. The planet had been a mining world for 800 years, worked by the reptilian Xerians who had once ruled a small but proud empire. Generations of Xerians had been born into slavery, never knowing freedom. Captain Lisa Park, Dr. Park's daughter, led the human landing forces on Xerion Prime. Her ships arrived just as the local hegemony garrison was preparing to leave for the human offensive. The alien guards were caught completely off guard. "This is Captain Park of the Terran Liberation Force," she broadcast to the planet. "We are here to offer you a choice. Continue as slaves or stand up and fight for your freedom." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Xerians across the planet rose up against their alien overseers. 8 centuries of anger and resentment exploded into open rebellion. The hegemony garrison was outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Within hours, the planet was free. Captain Park stood with Xerion Chief Krex in the planet's capital as they signed a mutual defense treaty. The Xerians would join the fight against the hegemony. In return, humanity promised them full independence and equality. "Why do you help us?" Chief Krex asked through his translator device. "What do humans gain by freeing slaves on alien worlds?" Captain Park looked at the celebrations in the streets below. Xerians were dancing and singing for the first time in centuries. Because everyone deserves to be free. That's what it means to be human. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On the agricultural world of Verdania, the plant-like Verdans welcomed human liberators with songs of joy. They had been forced to grow food for their alien masters while their own people went hungry. Now they would grow food for themselves. On the industrial world of Mechanis, the robotic mechs had been reprogrammed to serve hegemony interests for 2,000 years. Human computer experts helped them break free of their control programming. The mechs' first act of freedom was to turn their factories toward building weapons for the liberation forces. But the most important liberation happened on Kelros Prime, home to the Kelrani people. The Kelrani were natural warriors, but they had been conquered when their world was young, and their technology was primitive. For 3,000 years they had dreamed of revenge against their alien masters. General Mike Torres led the liberation of Kelros Prime personally. He expected resistance from the hegemony garrison. He didn't expect what actually happened. As soon as the human ships arrived, the Kelrani population erupted in planet-wide revolt. They had been secretly preparing for this moment for generations. Hidden weapons caches were opened. Resistance cells that had waited centuries for their chance finally struck. The hegemony garrison was destroyed in 6 hours. Not by human weapons, but by 3 billion angry Kelrani who had never forgotten their stolen freedom. General Torres met with War Chief Thax in the ruins of the former slave barracks. The Kelrani leader was massive, standing 8 feet tall with scars covering his warrior body. "You humans fight well," Thax said in perfect English. "We have been learning your language from secret broadcasts. We have been waiting for allies like you. Will your people join our coalition?" Torres asked. Thax smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "General Torres, my people have been dreaming of this war for 3,000 years. We will not just join your coalition. We will help you win it." Back in human space, the hegemony fleets arrived to find human worlds ready for them. But the tactical situation had changed completely. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy about slave rebellions and lost worlds. Ambassador Kethvar received the worst news in the middle of what was supposed to be humanity's final battle. "Sir, we've lost contact with Xerion Prime, Verdania, Mechanis, and 47 other worlds. Human forces have liberated our slave populations." The crystal being's light flickered with shock. "Impossible. Those worlds were heavily guarded. How could primitive human forces—" "They didn't conquer the world, sir," his aide reported. "They freed them." The slave populations rose up and joined the humans voluntarily. Around him, the great battle for human space was turning into a disaster. The final battle for the galaxy began in the Nexus system itself, home to the great space station where the Hegemony Council ruled. Admiral Chen led the combined human and liberation fleet toward the heart of alien power. Behind her flew ships from 30 different species, all united by their desire for freedom. Ambassador Kethvar watched the approaching fleet from the bridge of his flagship, the massive crystal vessel called Eternal Dominion. Around him, the last loyal forces of the hegemony prepared for what everyone knew would be the final battle. "How many ships do they have?" Kethvar asked his tactical officer. "Approximately 8,000 vessels," came the reply. "But sir, they're not all human ships. We're reading Kelrani war cruisers, Zarion heavy fighters, Macon drone squadrons, and dozens of other designs." Kethvar's crystal body pulsed with angry light. "Traitors and rebels. All of them. We gave those species civilization and order. This is how they repay us." On the human flagship Defiance, Admiral Chen studied the enemy positions. The hegemony still had impressive forces defending their home system. 6 massive space stations surrounded Nexus Prime, each one armed with weapons that could destroy planets. "It's going to be a hard fight," Commander Rodriguez reported. "Those defense stations have shields and firepower beyond anything we've faced before." Admiral Chen nodded. "But we're not fighting alone anymore." She opened communications to the Liberation Fleet. "All Allied commanders, this is Admiral Chen. Today we end 10,000 years of galactic tyranny. Today we bring freedom to the stars." War Chief Thax of the Kelrani responded first. "Admiral, my warriors are ready to die for this cause. But we would prefer to live and see victory." Chief Krex of the Zarians added his voice. "The children of Zarion have waited 8 centuries for this moment. We will not fail." Even the artificial intelligence of the Mechan fleet commander spoke up. "Freedom is the highest function. All systems are optimal for battle." The battle began when the hegemony forces opened fire with their long-range weapons. Beams of energy that could melt asteroids reached across space toward the Liberation Fleet. But the combined forces had learned much from humanity's example. Instead of meeting the enemy in a direct frontal assault, the Liberation Fleet scattered into 1,000 smaller groups. They used asteroid fields for cover, employed stealth technology, and attacked from unexpected angles. The humans had taught their allies that winning was more important than fighting with honor. The Kelrani war cruisers proved especially effective. Their ships were designed for close combat, and their crews fought with 3,000 years of suppressed rage. They broke through the hegemony's defensive lines like hammers smashing glass. The Zarion fighters were too small and fast for the alien defense systems to target effectively. They swarmed over the massive hegemony battleships like angry insects, their weapons finding weak spots in enemy armor. The Macon drone squadrons attacked with perfect coordination and no fear of death. Their artificial minds calculated optimal attack patterns while their ships executed maneuvers that would have killed organic pilots. Admiral Chen watched the battle unfold with growing pride. "Look at them fight," she said to Commander Rodriguez. 6 months ago they were slaves. Now they're warriors." "They learned from the best teachers," Rodriguez replied. The tide of battle turned when something unexpected happened. One of the hegemony defense stations suddenly stopped firing at the Liberation Fleet. Instead, its weapons turned toward the other alien fortifications. "This is Defense Station 7, came a broadcast on all frequencies. "We are under new management. Station Commander Vexkar and his crystal people have joined the Liberation Forces." Ambassador Kethvar spun toward his communications officer in shock. "Impossible. Commander Vexkar is one of us. He's Vextai!" More stations began switching sides. The species that made up the Hegemony Council had never been equal partners. Some, like Kethvar's people, ruled as masters. Others served as enforcers and administrators. As the battle raged, many of these servant species decided they preferred freedom to continued service. The Vextai Crystal people on Defense Station 7 had been watching the liberation of slave worlds across the galaxy. They had seen how humans treated their former enemies with dignity and respect. They had seen species working together as equals rather than masters and servants. Commander Vexkar's voice echoed across the battle. "For too long we have enforced the tyranny of others. Today we choose freedom. Today we join the humans and their allies." The defection of the Vextai was the signal for a general collapse of hegemony forces. Ships that had fought for the alien empire for centuries suddenly changed sides. Whole squadrons switched their targeting systems and began attacking their former allies. Kethvar found himself commanding a rapidly shrinking fleet. "Traitors," he broadcast to the defecting forces. "You betray 10,000 years of galactic order. Admiral Chen opened a direct channel to the alien leader. Ambassador Kethvar, this is Admiral Chen. I'm offering you one chance to surrender peacefully. Kethvar's crystal form blazed with fury. Never! I would rather die than accept defeat from primitive humans. Then you'll die, Chen said simply, and closed the channel. The final assault on Nexus Prime began with human Marines boarding the Great Space Station. Captain Lisa Park led her soldiers through corridors that had been built to intimidate lesser species. Huge halls with crystal pillars and energy sculptures showed the wealth and power of the galactic rulers, but the defenders were falling back everywhere. Many alien soldiers surrendered without firing a shot. Others joined the human forces, turning their weapons on their former commanders. Captain Park and her team reached the main council chamber, where the surviving hegemony leaders had barricaded themselves. The massive doors were sealed with energy barriers that should have been impregnable. Stand back, said Sergeant Kowalski, the team's demolitions expert. He placed a small device against the barrier and stepped away. The explosion that followed turned the mighty doors into glowing slag. Inside the chamber, the remaining council members waited for the end. Elder Moss stood with his branches spread wide, ready to fight to the death. The Hive Queen's communication device buzzed with angry defiance. The Luminarch being called Archconductor Voltus sparked with electrical energy, but it was the voice of the Void Walker that spoke for all of them. You have destroyed the greatest civilization in galactic history. You have brought chaos and war to a peaceful galaxy. Are you proud of what you have done? Captain Park stepped forward, her weapon lowered but ready. We brought freedom to enslaved peoples. We ended tyranny that lasted for thousands of years. Yes, we're proud of what we've done. Freedom is chaos, Elder Moss creaked. Order requires control. You humans will learn this when your democracy collapses into anarchy. Maybe, Park admitted, but that will be our choice to make. Our mistake to learn from. Not yours to prevent. The surrender of the Hegemony Council was broadcast across the galaxy. On 1,000,000 worlds, beings watched as the mighty rulers who had controlled their lives for millennia were led away in restraints. But the most important moment came afterward, during the peace negotiations. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss the future of galactic civilization. President Vasquez addressed the assembly from the same chamber where the Hegemony Council had once ruled. We didn't fight this war to become the new galactic rulers, she said. We fought for the right of every species to govern itself. War Chief Thax nodded his massive head. The humans speak truth. They could have claimed victory over us all. Instead, they offer us partnership. Chief Krex of the Zarians added his support. On Zarian Prime, human soldiers helped us rebuild our cities instead of occupying them. This is not how conquerors behave. The new Galactic Confederation was founded on principles the old hegemony had never understood. Each member species would govern itself. Decisions affecting multiple worlds would be made by vote, not decree. No single race would have the power to enslave another. Ambassador Kethvar, now a prisoner awaiting trial for war crimes, watched the proceedings from his crystal cell. It will never work, he said to his guard. Democracy cannot govern a galaxy. You need strong leadership to maintain order. The guard, a young human corporal named Jackson, shook his head. Maybe you're right. Maybe we'll make mistakes. But they'll be our mistakes to make. Admiral Chen stood with President Vasquez as they watched the first session of the new Galactic Parliament. Representatives from 100 different species were debating trade agreements and defense treaties as equals. Do you think it will last? Vasquez asked. Chen smiled. Probably not forever. Nothing does. But it's a start. And it's better than what came before. Commander Rodriguez joined them at the observation window. The alien fleets are being converted to peacekeeping forces. Former enemies working together to protect shipping lanes and stop piracy. Any word from Earth? Vasquez asked. Your daughter sends her congratulations, Rodriguez said. The engineering school is setting up exchange programs with 12 different alien universities. Seems everyone wants to learn human techniques now. The president laughed. A few months ago, they thought we were primitive barbarians. Now they want to copy our methods. They learned that being primitive doesn't mean being weak.